Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Katarina and so excited to show you this beautiful digital collection today, which was designed by the very talented Monica from Crafting with Quilling Lady, and it is called Gingerbread Christmas. The whole digital collection contains 17 A4 papers, 189 elements to fussy cut, 12 floral wreaths, and a full sheet of sentiments. Now I'm going to show you a slideshow of all the different papers and elements that you can get in this collection. It is just truly gorgeous. You will see throughout the collection the beautiful teal color, and those gingerbread cookies are just the cutest. So these are some pattern papers in here using some of those cookies, and they are just mega cute. I particularly love the ones with the little gingerbread faces on it. And I will come back in a video using that one too, because today I was more focusing on showcasing some of these elements in here, these gorgeous cookies. It was very hard to choose from which ones I wanted to use. So check back later, because I definitely will be coming back with another video using this collection. It is just really right up my street. I love the colors and I love the theme. So just a quick peek on the card that we are going to make today. And if you're interested in checking out this gorgeous digital collection, I will leave all the links in the description box below for you to go over to Monica's shop. And also, this video is part of a collaboration, so please be sure to check out Monica Crafting with Quilling Lady and Monica Aka Paper Mona's videos. I will leave the links to their YouTubes in the description box below as well. To start our card, I'm going to use an 8 by 8 inch card base. I wanted to make my card be a big card, a statement of a card, and so I decided to go with an 8 by 8, and it is that light blue one from the Lidl range. The white mat measures 7 3/4 by 7 3/4, and this lovely heart cookie shape pattern paper measures 7.5 by 7.5 squared, and just layer them on front of my card base. This piece of cardstock measures 12 by 9.5 inches, and on the 12-inch side we are going to score down at 5, 5 3/4, 10 3/4, and 11.5. And on the shorter side at 1/2 inch and 1 1/4, turn it to the other side again, 1/2 inch and 1 1/4 inches. We are going to cut away some of this section on the sides of the cardstock. So all 4 pieces on the very top, and turn round, and there's 4 little pieces on the bottom. So I'm only keeping a tab onto one section of this. This will make sense in a wee second once I cut everything away. I didn't fold and burnish before cutting, because I will be running this through my die cutting machine, but I find it's easier to cut, especially the longer lines, if I fold them in. So that's why I'm just folding and burnishing that one line in there. So now I'm going to cut an aperture onto the front, which will be basically the top of my box, and I'm using these rectangular dies from Surprise Creations. So I took 2 sizes that fit onto that section, and before I cut anything out, I want to add a piece of, this is a 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 of that same blue cardstock I used for my card base. Now, taking the smaller die that I chose, I'm going to cut a window out, and I need to run this through a couple of times my die cutting machine, because there's 2 very heavy layers in there. And it cuts out nearly perfectly. There's a little section that left in there, so I just took my scissors to help that along. So I took those 2 dies, one that I cut my window out with, and one a slightly bigger one, and I cut this little thin white frame out to go around my window, and I will be gluing this on just in a little while. First, however, I'm folding and burnishing all those core lines now, because there was no point doing this earlier on, because running it through the die cutting machine would have just flattened it down anyway, so I just prefer to do it now. So in here I'm just showing you what way my box will work, and I just left this in to show you that if you cut away those pieces overhanging on the side that I just folded under, so basically the 3 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch of tab on either side, if you cut that off, you can have this as a fold, a flat embellishment, just like that on top of your card. I wanted to make this nice, big, my kind of style, so I'm just going with a full box. I cut a piece of acetate to just under 5 by 7 inches, and I'm just adding red tape in the inside of this box So I will be gluing this on as a little window sheet for my display box for the lovely cookies that I will be using. And because this will be in the inside and no one will ever see this, so there's no need to cut out a frame to go around that acetate on the inside at all. Now I wanted to add a little bit of a texture under those cookies in there, so I decided to use a bit of tissue paper. I took out a piece of white and a piece of blue in there, and I decided to go with the white. I think the blue was just a bit too overwhelming. It took away from those lovely cookies in there. I thought the white went just much better. So in here I'm just using a little bit of liquid glue, just a thin bead all around that white thin frame to add it around my blue frame on the card in there. And then I'm just going to use a bit of double-sided tape just to hold down the tissue paper on the inside of that box. I'm going to rough up the tissue paper a bit. I didn't want it to be too crisp, but I wanted a little bit of a texture in it. So I just very slightly just creased it with my fingers, a bit with my fingers. And there's 2 layers in there all together. So now it's time to add my cookies. I decided to pop them up on foam tape, and at the end I actually decided to go with 2 layers of foam tape for this. I thought it just added a lovely dimension. Once I decided what way to arrange these cookies, I'm just removing the backing of that double-sided tape on each and every one of them, and I'm just sticking them down on top of that little tissue paper, which can't really pick up here on camera, but in real life it does add a little bit of a texture in the background. It just looks lovely. So I'm cutting away the corners on all these tabs, make sure nothing will be sticking out once I glue this all together. And then here I started using liquid glue, and it became kind of a wrestling match to try to make everything sit nice and square. So I did swap this for double-sided tape because it just gives that instant stick, and it just worked much better for me anyway. So and then I add some more of that double-sided tape on the underside of this box because I will have to adhere this to my card anyway later, and it just helped. Just added an extra adhesive in there to hold those tabs closed as well. At this point, I really started to love the way this whole thing was coming together. So once I placed it on top of this card, I just really got so excited. So I cut out pieces of cardstock, 2 which measure 1/2 inch by 4 3/4, and then 2 pieces 1/2 inch by 6 3/4. And I am just gluing them on all 4 sides of this box, just for a little bit of an extra color in there. My original idea for this next step was to use a real blue ribbon, but I didn't want to introduce a new shade of blue in here again. So I decided to try something different, and I decided to try to use the pieces of leftover cardstocks that I had from the card base, and I cut them down to 1/2 inch of strips again, and just wrapping them around the corners, just around the sides, and tucking them underneath. Now I have to admit this was a bit fiddly because the heaviness of the cardstock, it was quite heavyweight, but it was doable, and it would be much easier with thinner paper, but I didn't have the exact same shade, so I just worked it with this one. I'm adding some more double-sided tape on the underside of this box, just to make sure that it will stick properly to my card. And the sentiment which says, "Wishing you a sprinkle of gingerbread magic this holiday season," I cut down into a little rectangle and backed it up with that same blue paper again. In here I'm just deciding what will go where, and it was missing something in here, so I decided to cut out some bow. I do have bow dies, but I couldn't find them, so I just used my digital die cutting machine to cut these out. And then here I just decided to use my hot glue. This time I didn't forget to put it on when I started to make the card. So I used the hot glue to assemble my bow first of all, and then I used the hot glue again just to attach this to that upper part of the ribbon, I guess. Ribbon-ish. And in here I'm just working out which way I do want my sentiment to go, and I really kind of like it tucked underneath that bow, but I don't want to have the writing covered up in there, so I will show you in a minute what I decided to do. So I took my hole punch, and this is a crocodile that I have, and I just punched a little hole on the top left corner in there. Took a very thin piece of that blue cardstock, folded it over, added glue just to glue them together, and this is what will I tuck underneath the bow in there. And this way the sentiment is not just floating, but it looks like a little tag is hanging off underneath the bow. So I added some double-sided foam pads underneath that to raise it up a bit, and this is how the sentiment will sit there, and I just absolutely love it. So all that's left to do on the front of my card is just to add some embellishments, and I decided to add 3 of these pearls in each corner, 1 large one and 2 medium ones, and then a little blue one in the middle of that bow. Now, when I tried to stand this card up, it triples over, but I knew this was going to happen. So if you don't like to decorate the inside of your card, just make it a top folding card and then it would be perfect. However, I knew that I wanted to use some of those lovely pattern papers on the inside as well. I will use the same die that I cut the aperture out on my front of my box to cut out a piece of cardstock on the inside to write my sentiment on when I know who this card is going to. So thank you so much for watching my video today. These are some close-up pictures and videos of the lovely card that we just made. I really hope you enjoyed watching me make this because it's such a lovely card. And if you did, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done. Leave me a comment and hit the notification bell to make sure you will get notified of any future videos. And also do not forget to check out the videos of the other girls that I left in the description box below. And I will be back very soon with another tutorial. Until then, bye!